I need to poop soon.
There we are, and welcome back to another episode of the UFC Fight Picks. Today we're
171.
171. That's what we're doing today, and you don't want to talk about 170. I know that.
Nope, let's not do it.
8-1, back in rare form. 20 points. Don't get too down. You had 13 points. You were 4-5.
Yeah, not good.
We did watch it at Dad's, and I was pretty hammered, but I still remember everything. He made a copy of it for me if you want to watch it again sometimes. I know you probably don't want to.
I'd rather watch your reactions.
Yeah, that'd be nice. We should set up a camera whenever I get hammered and then have one at Buffalo Wild Wings of us chewing on them
cheesecake bites.
Yes. Yes. You just sent me a picture the other day of a double order.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, I haven't been there since that night.
Yeah, your bank account probably doesn't want you to go. So.
No. Quick thing before we get into our fights for UFC 171. In the news, they just released TRT is now banned, which is testosterone therapy for the older guys. That's who's normally taking it to try to get their testosterone back up to the levels of being young. And a couple of guys that take this are Vitor Belfort, who was supposed to fight Chris Weidman for the title.
Oh, yeah?
Now, supposedly he pulled out of this fight because he can't take his testosterone. So Lyoto Machida is taking the place. The Dragon's going to fight Chris Weidman. And I think this might be the fight that the guy takes Weidman out. Lyoto Machida is going to get the title.
He's a beast.
I can't wait. And I just seen UFC Fight Night 36 with Lyoto and Gegard Mousasi, and I was 54th in the world on the UFC fantasy fight picks out of like 75 grand. So
thousands.
Told you I'm back in rare form. I'm ready for this.
Yep.
But yeah, this is about UFC 171. So we're gonna jump into the fight picks, and this time we're gonna do it a little different because I'm gonna have a couple of prelims in here. I think like 3 fights. Because this first fight I really wanted to talk about a little bit.
Okay.
It's going to be Bubba McDaniel against Thor, the Hammer, Tor Trong from, I think, Switzerland, something like that. But yeah, this fight, they both were on the Ultimate Fighter. So, I'll give you Bubba McDaniel because I can't stand that guy.
Well, he's a submission wrestler. Competed on the Ultimate Fighter, as you said, with Sana versus Jones.
Yep.
Being favored by Jones because he trains with him, he received a wild card spot after losing early.
Yeah, I thought that was BS.
He's a cupcake, I think.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, I don't like him. So when we get down to picking, I'm not going to be picking him.
Nope.
I like Thor. Thor's a beast, man. He also competed in the Ultimate Fighter 17 with his fellow castmate, Bubba McDaniel. He was an early favorite by a lot of fans, but lost in the semifinals. He fought and finished Adam Sella in his first UFC fight, and Sella's the same fighter who Uriah Hall almost kicked his head off in the Ultimate Fighter.
Yep.
And he lost his last fight against Rafael Natal. So He's not like the best in the world, but I like watching him fight. And anytime I like a guy, like I said, I have to take him. So I'm taking Thor. Decision.
Yep. I think I got to go with you on that.
On decision?
Yep.
Cool. Race past that fight, and we'll go to the next fight. Hene Forch against newcomer Frank Trevino. Bring up their pictures here. Bring up the wrong one. Right there's Hene Forch. Forge, he competed on the Ultimate Fighter Brazil, part of Team Nogueira. Lost his last fight by knockout to John Makdessi, who we seen lose to Alan Patrick at UFC 169.
Yeah.
Forge, I think, is another cupcake, and I could see him losing to this newcomer in Frank Trevino.
Well, I mean, there's not a lot known about Frank Trevino other than he is undefeated at 11-0.
Right.
It kind of gets noticed by Dana White, though.
Yeah, anytime you're undefeated, like I said, it's the powers that be. They're like, anytime they bring somebody up, you got to be undefeated. It's a me, Wario.
Yep, on the floor.
But yeah, this is going to be another fight that goes to decision, I think. And I'm actually going to take the Cupcake Forge.
I want to take Trevino decision.
There we go. We're already finding some different ground to stand on. You probably want to pick whoever I pick, though, because I seem to be no.
Yeah, you're 8-1, so that means you got to. On the last one, you're 8-1, so that means you got a loss. So I'll think this will be the one.
Yeah. Next fight: Will Campuzano against Justin Scoggins. Now, if you compare the pictures on here, it looks like Justin Scoggins wouldn't be able to beat anybody. He looks like a lost puppy.
So do we even need to talk about him?
Yes, we kind of do, because he's actually a beast.
All right, then.
Tell me about Will Campuzano.
Well, he's part of the team Alpha Male.
Yeah.
He's purple belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He was cut by the UFC, went 5-0 in Legacy, winning the flyweight title. Then he was called back to the UFC to take a late notice fight against Sergio Pettis and lost.
Yeah.
Was expected to face 13 ranked Daryl Montag. Had to pull out via injury.
Yeah, that's like I said. All these fighters pulling out via injury. Campuzano's 0-3 in the UFC, so that's not very good at all. But Justin Scoggins, who he's fighting, is 1-0, and this kid, like I said, he looks like a lost puppy. I can't get over that. Holding an undefeated pro record, Scoggins is looking to make another mark in his career. He won his UFC debut against Richie Bakalikia, TKO strikes in the first round. Even though Campuzano is 0-3 in the UFC, he's part of Team Alpha Male, and that's something to look out for.
Yeah.
However, I'm taking Justin Scoggins in this fight.
Yeah, I think being 0-3 and for Campuzano, this could be his, loss for him.
I know he's like sweating bullets because
he might be out.
This is it. This is it for him. He knows he's got to do something in this fight. So
yeah, he was already cut once. Yeah.
Yeah, Dana won't be afraid to cut him again.
Yeah.
Now I think this is the first actual prelim fight here. So these are the fights that really matter.
Okay.
Did I say how?
We didn't choose.
Okay, let me go back here. Justin Scoggins. I'm going to say another. No, I'm not going to say decision. I'm going to say second round submission. Justin Scoggins.
I will say decision for Scoggins.
Scoggins?
Yep.
Okay. So we got 3 decisions already.
Yep.
And usually those early fights kind of go to decision. Sean Spencer versus Alex Garcia. As you can see here, Sean Spencer 11-2. Alex the Dominican Garcia 11-1.
Wow.
Now Sean Spencer's 2-1 in his UFC career. Even though he has 3 UFC bouts under his belt, not a lot to say about Spencer. He won his last 2, one by split decision, one by unanimous. So it seems that may be somewhat of a boring fighter, possibly. Yeah. But I'm not going to judge just off of that. I hope this fight turns out to be better than what I'm thinking. But who knows? Anything can happen in the UFC.
Yeah. But, I mean, Garcia should make it pretty interesting, exciting. He's 11-1 in his pro career, as you said. He's come a long way by former UFC veteran Seth Baczynski.
Yeah, that's the guy that beat Kimbo in Kimbo's
Slice
MMA debut. Yeah. Nobody thought he was going to win. Like, Kimbo was supposed to fight this one guy, and the guy pulled out, so they threw in Seth Baczynski, and next thing you know, Seth beats him. It was crazy.
Yeah. Well, not much to say about Kimbo and his MMA.
Yeah. I wish he would have did better.
Yeah, just good street fighter, that's all. Anyway, Garcia, all of his other fights were won in the first round. Whether it was submission or knockout, he seems to get things done.
Yeah. And speaking of that, I'm going to take Garcia in this fight. I'm going to take it first round knockout.
You going to make it number 10? I'll say
first round knockout.
I'll say second round knockout, Garcia.
Within, I'm going to say 2 minutes and 45 seconds into the first round.
Wow. All right.
Yeah, we're going for the gusto here.
So if you don't get that, you lose all your points.
Yes, I agree with that.
Right.
That's funny. We made that one last one. You said
Mike Pyle.
Yep. If he has the mullet, I'm taking him. If he doesn't, and he showed up with the mullet, and for sure he won.
Yep.
That was a good call.
Yeah.
I'll give you a couple bonus points for that, maybe. Here we go. A featherweight fight. Number 14, Dennis Bermudez versus Jimmy Hedis.
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, no. Don't
Okay.
let me interrupt you. Dennis the Menace Bermudez, 13-3. Jimmy Hedis, 11-1 in their pro records.
Yeah. Bermudez, he competed in Ultimate Fighter 14, made it to the finals against Diego Brandao. He was looking great, looking like he might win, but he tapped out.
Yeah.
So since then, he has went on a 5-fight win streak. 4 of them by decision, 2 by split decision. If he wins here, he might move up slightly in the rankings. I don't know.
Yeah, it's tough to say. I mean, this guy, sometimes he shows up, sometimes he doesn't, and I actually like watching him fight. But he is fighting a beast. Jimmy Hedis, 3-1 in the UFC, former Pennsylvania cage fighting featherweight champion.
Yep.
He holds wins over Bruce Leroy, Nam Phan, and Robert Whiteford. His only loss coming by way of Marcus Brimage, who is another decent fighter. This one is going to be one of the harder ones to pick for me because I like Dennis Bermudez, but I know Jimmy Hedis is he's coming up.
Yeah.
So, oh man, I think with Dennis being ranked and Jimmy being unranked, that Jimmy's going to win this fight based on that. He's going to see that he's a ranked fighter because this ranking system plays with a lot of people's emotions inside the cage.
Yeah.
And I'm going to take Hedis in decision on this one.
Man, he is a fellow Pennsylvanian.
Yeah.
From Penn's Woods.
Right.
I'm going to have to go with you.
Cool.
So, Hedis in a decision.
Follow the leader.
Yep. You are the leader.
Now we have our only female fight of the night.
Yes.
We got Raquel Pennington against Jessica Ajandre. I think that's how you say it. We need Mike Goldberg here to to tell us how to pronounce all these names because we got a couple of them wrong. Like Alan Patrick is actually Alan Patrick. You know,
I'm telling you that other girl's name is Carmouche.
Yeah, she's French.
It just looks right.
I like Raquel Pennington. I've seen her in The Ultimate Fighter. She's ranked number 13. She's 1-0 in the UFC. She's tough, and by tough I mean she takes fight after fight. Most of the guys I talked about in the state of the UFC in our last episode are cupcakes compared to her. And I mean the guys who don't want to fight their friends who pull out due to a stubbed toe. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. One of her pro losses came by way of Kat Zingano, and that's not bad. And trust me, she's gotten better since then, but she has a tough challenge ahead of her in Jessica Andrade.
Yeah. And it wasn't even supposed to be against Andrade. The match was supposed to be Andrade. I can't even say it now.
Andrade
against Juliana Pena.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, Pena will be out 2 years to a gruesome injury she sustained while training against male fighter in the gym.
Yeah, it's tough because it first came out, she called Dana White and said that she got jumped by a guy in her gym, but everyone's saying that it's not true, that she was just training like she normally does and she got hurt. It just happened, you know.
Yeah.
Freak accident. It happens sometimes.
That's crazy. But Andrade
here it comes.
Lost to Carmouche.
She's sticking with it, people.
In her first fight, but rebounded rather well and beat Rosie Sexton at UFC Fight Night 30.
Yeah, she did. And if it wasn't for me liking Raquel Pennington, I would take Andrade, but I gotta take my girl Raquel Pennington. Decision. Most female fights end a decision unless your name's Ronda Rousey. Yes.
Let's talk about that real quick.
Wow. Yeah.
Vince McMahon.
Vince McMahon? Did you say Vince McMahon?
No. I said against McMahon.
Oh, against McMahon. Nice.
McMahon.
Where am I at?
She could probably beat him up anyway.
Yeah, she could. I guarantee it.
A liver shot, man. A knee right to the liver.
You think it was an early stoppage?
I don't know. I think she didn't not try to like.
That liver shot was tough.
Yeah.
She dropped, man.
She did drop, but she was. It looked like she was almost on her way back up.
She was. Now, when they showed the replay of it, I was like, yeah, she was out, but they show it in slow motion. So it's more time in slow motion. You're like, oh, she's out of it. So I don't think I think regardless, if she would have got back up, she would have got her ass busted even more.
She would have lost anyway. Yeah, she was definitely leaving her midsection open.
Right.
And Rousey just took it.
I'm more mad about the Uriah Faber stoppage still.
Yeah.
Was that Herb Dean for this one? For this Rousey one? I don't think it was.
No, but there was an early stoppage, we think, by it was a late stoppage by Herb this last UFC 170. I forget
which one was it? Yeah. What about the Cormier and Cummins? Was that a... See, I was hammered, so I need to rewatch this.
Yeah.
And I will. I'll revisit it. I just let Dave borrow the disc, and I'll get it back then.
Okay.
But,
Right.
yeah, that was some good fights. Like I said, we were talking about how the previous one, 169, was Decision Mania.
Yeah.
And this one...
Knockout Mania.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah.
And we called it.
Yeah.
Boom, this next fight. Oh, this is the one I'm probably most pumped up for besides the main event. Kelvin Gastelum against number 14 Rick Story.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say enough about these guys. Let me bring up their pictures here real quick if I can ever find them. Kelvin Gastelum, Rick Story. Kelvin Gastelum undefeated 8-0 against number 14 Rick the Horror Story, 16-7 in his pro debut. Yeah.
So Gastelum.
Yeah,
he's 2-0 in UFC.
Yep.
He's the winner of the Ultimate Fighter 17 alongside McDaniel and Trong.
Right.
As you mentioned earlier.
Right.
He beat Uriah Hall
in the finale.
Yeah.
Yep. And he was like, it was crazy for me to watch this because I think he's like a firefighter, like this volunteer firefighter, and he just comes into the UFC and just beasts everybody. It's crazy.
Well, hey, if you can fight a fire, I think you can fight in the UFC.
Good call.
Yeah. So he said he felt a disadvantage against Hall, so he dropped down a weight class to welterweight.
Yeah, ask Chris Lieben about that.
Yeah, so he then beat Brian Melancon in his last fight via rear naked choke.
Mm-hmm.
And
I like Gastelum, and he can earn a lot of my respect if he beats Rick the Horror Story. I love watching Rick Story fight. Let me tell you about Rick Story. He's 9-5 in the UFC.
He's quite the storied fighter.
Yeah, there you go. Nice drop. This guy is a lot better than his record shows. Besides GSP, and some will say even GSP didn't win, but he did. Rick Story is the only guy to beat Johnny Hendricks, who we'll talk about a little later.
Yes, we will.
After he beat Hendricks, Story called out the then number one contender Thiago Alves and beat him via unanimous decision. Story needs a win here to put him back in the light. He's number 14, but if he beats Kelvin Gastelum, who is unranked, I still say he moves up in the rankings because this is a big welterweight card, so there's going to be a lot of numbers moving in this one.
Yep.
Like I said, whenever I like a fighter, I got to take him. I'm taking my boy Rick Story, and I'm going to go as far as to say first round. First round submission. No. First round TKO strikes. Let me change that.
All right, well, I'll go Story. Third round knockout.
Beautiful. Don't pick against my boy Rick Story now.
Yeah.
Now, he fought Charlie Brenneman about a year and a half ago, and Charlie Brenneman is from Pennsylvania, and one of the sponsors he had on his shorts was Sheets. When he came out with Sheets, I was like, oh my God, he's got to be from PA, and sure enough, he was. And Charlie Brenneman beat him. Underdog beat him out of nowhere.
Yeah, Pennsylvania, man. Got that Sheets power.
Tough fighters. Rick Story is from Washington State, so I don't know what that says, but
it just says West Coast to me.
Just a fun fact, I guess.
All right.
This next fight is Ovince St. Preux against Nikita Krylov. Let's get into this fight. I don't recall watching too much from these guys.
I have no idea who either of them are.
Yeah, let me bring up the wrong picture again.
Yeah, man.
I need to get better at this. OSP, they call him. He's 14-5 in his pro career against Nikita Al Capone Krylov, who's 16-3. Why don't you go ahead and tell me about OSP?
Well, I just want him to win just because the other guy's name is Al Capone.
Right.
So
wait till you see his picture when I bring it up.
Does he have a scar face? No,
but he's dressed up like Al Capone. He's got the hat and the coat.
Yeah. I want OSP to win this fight. First round knockout.
Yeah, right.
So Ovince St. Preux, known for his stint in the strike force, going 6-1 under the brand beating Cupcakes.
Yeah.
He lost to losing to Gerard Mizrazi,
who recently just lost to Lyoto the Dragon Machida, who's getting that title shot.
Yep. He won his last fight against Big Cody Donovan by knockout in the first round.
Mm-hmm.
He was supposed to fight Thiago Silva here in the light of recent events with Silva. Dana White stated that he will never fight in the UFC again.
Yeah, Thiago Silva just down in Brazil, his wife's messing with another guy, and he went to the gym with a gun and said, both you get out here or I'll shoot everyone into place. And as soon as Dana White heard that, he said, you're going.
Yeah. You can't really do that.
No, you can't do that and expect to have a career in the UFC. It's just the way it is. Okay, Nikita Krylov is 1-1 in the UFC. Coming in on this fight in late notice, Krylov just defeated Walt Harris by knockout in the first round in late January. That fight was at heavyweight, and Krylov stated after the fight that he wanted to make the cut to light heavyweight, and he's doing this already against OSP. So he's cutting weight within 2 months to fight OSP.
What's the weight difference on that? Do you know?
205 is light heavyweight.
Yeah.
Anything above 205 is heavyweight, and I don't think you can max. You can't go past 265, I believe, in heavyweight.
So he pretty much lost, let's just say, 40 pounds. 30,
Probably.
40 pounds.
So I don't think he's winning this fight. That's too much weight to lose, and I'm going to take OSP via decision on this one.
I'm going to go with you, even though I want him to knock him out just because it's Al Capone.
He might. Hey, call knockout. It could happen. It's
Fine,
OSP.
you know what? I will call a knockout.
There you
second
go.
Round. Boom.
Second
OSP.
round. All right. It's not a 5-round fight. It's a 3-round fight. We only have one 5-round fight, and that's the main event on this one.
Yeah.
Our next fight, Jake Shields against Hector Lombard. Hector Lombard is he was supposed to be a star coming into the UFC. Everyone was talking about him. And Jake Shields has a lot of fights under his belt, 29-6-1. And Hector Lombard, 33-4-1. So they both got a lot of experience.
Wow.
Shields is ranked number 7. Hector Lombard is ranked number 12. I keep bringing up the wrong pictures. I'm fumbling today, people. It's my fault. All good. Jake Shields from San Francisco, California is 4-2-1 in the UFC. And I tell you what, they tried to hype this guy up when he first came to the UFC to fight GSP for the welterweight championship. I could sleep every time this guy fights. I'm so not sold on Jake Shields, and I doubt I ever will be. He's such a boring fighter, but he probably wins this fight in boring-ass fashion. I'm telling you, I can't stand this guy. He's so, and I hope I get another comment on here. You didn't think Jake Shields was good when he did this? No, I've never seen Jake Shields impress me. Not a lot to say about Hector Lombard. I'll take his 2-2. Lost his UFC debut to our boy Tim Boetsch.
The Barbarian.
Yes, and he's actually moving up in the rankings too.
Yeah.
I don't want to spend a lot of time on this fight. I don't like Jake Shields, so I'm taking Hector Lombard. But it won't be submission or even knockout. It's got to be a decision.
I'll take Shields in a decision. Going against you.
It's going to be a long, drawn out fight.
Yeah. That last fight, what was that?
Yes, let's talk about that. Rory McDonald against Damian Maia.
Yeah.
Now, after the fight and after I was so pissed off because I'm like, you can finish him. Look how tired
second
he
and
is.
third round, he could have just knocked his ass out.
Supposedly, Rory McDonald stabbed his hand while cutting an avocado, and that's why he didn't go full force.
Are you kidding me?
I don't believe it. I mean, I believe that he stabbed his hand, but he was kicking his ass. He could have just kept kicking his ass. Yeah. You know what I mean? Don't use that as an excuse. He has too much respect for Damian Maia, and that's what happened.
Yeah, and Maia looked like he was drunk out there.
Right.
The third round.
He dominated that first round and then just lost it. Just lost it. If you could say that the UFC was fixed, watch that fight, and that could be your argument because Damian Maia just gassed out quick.
Yeah, and McDonald could have knocked him out in the first minute of the second round.
Yeah, it was. I was so disappointed at that, and that guy commented on our video and said, "You don't like watching Rory McDonald fight when he threw around Diaz? Okay, that's fine. He threw around Diaz, but look at every single other one of his fights. They've been boring, just like his last one.
Yeah,
I was hype. I was like, oh, he's gonna do it. He didn't do it.
Nope.
Very disappointing. I walked away from the fight before it was even over because I knew he wasn't going to knock him out.
Yeah, you called that too.
Yep, walked out of it.
Yep.
Let's see. The next fight, boom. Number 15, Diego Sanchez against Miles Jury. This is going to be a barn burner. Sorry to take that line from Jim Ross. Let me tell you about Diego Sanchez.
Yeah, go ahead.
13-6. Anytime this guy fights, you can bet you're in for a treat, and this fight's going to be nothing short of spectacular. I think if Sanchez has a losing record, Dana White would probably still not cut him because this guy goes hard every single time. Dude, I've got to show you the Clay Guida Diego Sanchez fight. These guys just hammering away at each other. Diego Sanchez, they should call him the Nightmare. They have the Dream up here. I think he changed his nickname to the Nightmare. But he's fighting a guy that's undefeated in Miles Jury.
Yeah, 4-0 in the UFC.
Yep.
And although he has 13-0 his MMA career, he participated in the Ultimate Fighter 15 and lost to Al Ian Quinta, who won the Fight of the Season's honor.
Right.
Since debuting in the UFC, he is undefeated in 4 fights, most of them against the Ultimate Fighter alumni. He beasted Michael Johnson.
Michael Jordan.
Yeah, Michael Jordan Johnson for 3 rounds. He KO'd Ramsey Niem. How do you say that?
I think they call him Nijam.
Nijam. That's
usually it's silent, but
that's not right. Yeah, it's Niem.
Yeah, we'll make our own up.
He beat the Ultimate Fighter 16th finalist Mike Ritchie.
Yeah, Mike Ricci.
Yep.
Is what they say. Well, we say Ritchie.
Yep.
No, they just cut Mike Ricci recently too. But I thought he was going to be good, but they said, you get the boot, buddy. I think he's fighting for World Series of Fighting or somebody else now. But yeah, Diego Sanchez, Miles Jury. This is going to be a great fight. I don't know what to say. I want Sanchez to win, but I think it's possible Miles Jury can win this fight. I just don't know who to take. I'll let you take it, and I'll call off of you. Well, I might just go whoever you pick. I'll probably just pick the other person. But I expect a great fucking fight here.
Yeah. The jury usually makes a decision. So I'm going to go Sanchez.
Wow. A good drop. Yeah. I'll take Miles Jury. Decision.
All right.
I don't think we'll see a knockout. We'll just see fists flying, and these guys are going to take it.
You think it's going to go to decision with all those fists flying?
Yeah, it usually does. With one time I seen Diego Sanchez fight. I can't remember what the guy's name was, but the guy hit Sanchez in the stomach, and Sanchez went down and played possum. As soon as the guy come running over to finish him, he hops up and just hits him and knocks him out.
That's awesome.
Well, got him to the point where he was stammered and ended the fight TKO strikes. But yeah, it was great. Sanchez is a smart cat. This next fight is our co-main event, but it is not 5 rounds. It's Carlos Condit and Tyrone Woodley. Some other welterweights here. Like I said, this is a big welterweight card.
Yeah.
Carlos Condit, number 2 ranked, the natural-born killer, 29-7, against number 10 Tyrone Woodley, the chosen one, who's 12-2 in his pro career. What about Carlos Condit?
Well, he's 6-3 in the UFC. Former WC.
He's better than that record.
Yeah. Former WC welterweight champion.
Mm-hmm.
Former UFC interim welterweight champion.
Yep.
Knockout of the night 2-time winner.
Wow.
4-time fight of the night winner. Dude's one of a kind.
Yeah, he is. I like watching him fight. He fought Nick Diaz, and Diaz kind of chased him down the whole fight, and he was just like, what are you doing? Quit running away from me. But he was smarting him out because he knew he wanted to come at him, and he beat Nick Diaz via decision. And he's fighting Tyrone Woodley, who's 2-1. Former Strikeforce standout. Tyrone Woodley's coming off a first-round knockout win against Josh Koscheck, which it seems like everybody's beating Koscheck nowadays. He doesn't have the list of badges that Condit has under his belt, but if he beats Condit, he acquires that stat, and that's a big one.
Yeah.
I don't think that happens, though. I think Carlos Condit wins this fight via decision. I think there's going to be a lot of decisions in this one, and this is going to be another one.
And I'm going to go with you on that.
Via decision?
Yep.
Cool. We got that one out of the way. Now we got the big one. If this fight doesn't end in a knockout, I will be shocked. I think this fight ends in 30 seconds. Honestly.
Get out.
Honestly. These guys are knockout artists. Yeah. It's going to be great. You're in for a treat with this vacant welterweight title fight. Number 1, Johnny Hendricks, the big rig, against number 3, Robbie Lawler. Ruthless Robbie Lawler. Hendricks, 10-2 in the UFC. Hendricks has 2 losses on his record. Most people will consider it 1 loss as they think he beat GSP in the last fight. Do you think so? I want to rewatch the fight.
I think we need to.
Right.
Because were we not at Buffalo Wild Wings for this one too?
Yep. Outside with the heaters on.
That's right. It was like cold as...
Because we went to the play thing where they have the games because we thought the UFC fight would be there, but it wasn't. So we went to Buffalo Wild Wings.
Yes, we were outside in the cold with the stupid heater on above us, just throwing heat out into the cold weather.
This is before I knew about the cheesecake bites.
Yes, pre-cheesecake bite. I think he won that fight. He beat GSP.
I got in kind of an argument with a guy on Facebook about this. I think it could have went either way, and I said that. I was like, I don't see it. I could see it going either way. I could see it being a draw.
Yeah.
Because GSP acquired a lot of takedowns during this whole spiel, and they give you points for that. Yeah. And they say when you fight the champion, you got to beat him in good fashion in order to get that win.
Yeah.
And I wasn't surprised by it. Man, we were walking out of Buffalo Wild Wings, and I heard people, boo, this is bullshit.
Yeah.
Screaming all kinds of stuff. I'm like, get over it.
I mean, if he is the champion, I mean, he's still a fighter, and if you take him down that many times,
right,
and just obliterate him,
we'll rewatch it.
Yeah.
We're gonna revisit that here soon.
We'll score it ourselves too.
Right. The only other fight, like I said earlier, is against Rick Story, my boy, Rick the Horse Story, and that says a lot about both Hendricks and Story. Johnny Hendricks is a knockout artist, and he's fighting another knockout artist in Ruthless Robbie Lawler.
Yeah. You got the pictures?
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Oh, yeah.
It's the last one.
Yeah, we're on point.
Yeah. So Hendricks, he has 2 losses. We already talked talked about Hendricks?
Yes.
Yeah, we don't need to talk about him. Lawler has been fighting for the UFC for a long time now.
Yeah, he's a seasoned veteran.
Yeah, he's 7-3. His first UFC fight was back in 2002.
That's a long time ago.
I was 11 years old.
That was 12 years ago.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So with 3 straight wins since coming back to the UFC, he's finally looking to win the UFC welterweight champion. His first UFC title shot.
Yep. All that time, and it's his first chance at a UFC gold. I just heard something about Robbie Lawler recently, and they said that he doesn't spar in practice with other teammates, and this is how he stays healthy. This is how he keeps his chin solid. It's an awesome thing to know, and I hope other fighters take that and go with it too, because all these people getting hurt, it's usually when they're sparring or wrestling around with somebody, but usually when they're sparring, and then you get a weak chin, come the fight time, you take one shot and you're down. You know what I mean? So, look, it's excellent. I hope this inspires other people to do the same thing. And, this is so hard to take. I don't know who I want to take. Oh, man. Honestly, I would be happy with either one winning. I like both of these guys.
Yeah.
I just don't know who to take, man. This is big. It's going to be knockout first round. I'm calling that for sure. I don't know. I'll let you call it. I can't do this. I might have to wait until the day before the fight to call this one.
I'm going Hendricks, second round knockout.
Second round knockout, Johnny Hendricks. You know, usually when a fight like this happens and everyone thinks it's going to be a knockout, like these 2 guys are knockout artists, it usually goes to decision. But it's 5 rounds. I just don't see it.
You know what? I take that back. Because every time that I've seen a pay-per-view event lately, it always ends in the first round by some kind of weird thing. I'm going Lawler, first round knockout.
There you go.
I take it back.
So you even took your pick back.
Yeah.
Wow.
Took it all back.
Well.
Because I've been so upset plenty of times before. That way, if I do lose the fight, Hendricks won.
There you go. Okay, well, I'm going to take Hendricks then, first round knockout.
All right.
Wow. To add a little bonus, 10-point bonus.
Okay.
If you can guess the exact time of the knockout.
That's so hard.
It is hard.
Think about how many seconds are in a fight.
Right. Well, if you're calling it in the first round, you got, 5 times 60 is 350, 300?
Yeah, 300.
300 minutes. Or
seconds,
sorry. So, what number out of 300? And you got to call it on point. I'm not going to give it to you, who closest without going over. No.
That should be like 1,000 points.
I'm going to say 33.
33 seconds.
Into the first round.
Get the hell out.
Boom.
I'm going to go 132.
All right.
Seconds.
Dude, this is awesome. I cannot wait for this fight.
Do you think that people who train like chew a lot of gum, like Ace Ventura did, and just kept packing the double bubble in?
Right.
Do you think they do that?
What do you mean, train getting their
Like,
jaws tougher?
Yeah.
I always thought about that when I was younger. I was like, man, if I chew a lot of gum, I'll have a nice jawline. I chewed the shit out of gum, and I don't have no jawline.
Yeah.
I cheat with the chin strap.
That's what I do.
Oh, yeah.
Used to.
UFC 171. We're getting out of here.
Boom.
Robbie Lawler, Johnny Hendricks. This should be good, man.
Yeah.
We're in for something big.
I'm excited.
Also, don't think Condit Woodley should be the co-main event. I think Rick Story should be the co-main event.
You also think Dennis Seaver should be the main event?
He should be the main event. Rick Story versus Dennis Seaver, main event.
Done.
We're out of here.
Peace.
That's why